1998 is go for Formula One. New cars, new engines, new tyres, driver changes, and it all starts down under in Melbourne, Australia in just 1 week's time. Less than 12 hours ago, the Formula One cars were loaded up at Stansted for the start of the long flight to Australia for the beginning of what looks like being a fabulous Grand Prix season. But Martin and I have been here at Barcelona to look at the testing that the teams have been doing and to find out what's been going on.
There's been some glossy and glamorous launches of the new 98 cars, but actually underneath the surface there's been mayhem, passing the new very rigorous crash test and just getting the cars functioning, ready to go off to that first race.
So we're going to be looking ahead at what's happened to the cars, the drivers, the engines, everything else. We've got an exclusive interview with Michael Schumacher and a long chat with Damon Hill. But can 1998 beat 1997? Remember how the Drivers' Championship ended with Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve driving into each other.
Villeneuve is all over him, look, he's going through. Oh, yes.
Oh,
I don't think...
Out goes Michael Schumacher.
That didn't work. That didn't work, Michael. You hit the wrong part of him, my friend.
It was the third time that I overtook him. Once in Hockenheim in '96, and then there was Estoril also on the outside. And that was the third time when he didn't expect him, when he thought I was too far away to overtake him. So he knows I can overtake him. So he'll remember that.
I don't care what happened in Jerez. I will forget in the moment I race, and then I will go on racing.
So Jacques Villeneuve became world champion with teammate Heinz-Harald Frentzen second after Schumacher's exclusion.
The controversy from Jerez carried on away from the racetrack right up until Christmas. Michael Schumacher had to make his way to Slough for a serious slap on the wrist from the FIA governing body. Williams and Mclaren were accused of collusion for that last race too. No further action taken there. Then, of course, there was the cigarette advertising controversy and the £1 million donation by Bernie Ecclestone to the Labour Party.
And there's been even more mystery about which countries Formula One's going to this year. There's been confusion and speculation about France and Belgium. There's even been talk of going to Kyalami in South Africa and Zhuhai in China. Time will tell, I guess. Every so often, the governing body changes the regulations to slow the cars down for safety reasons. There's more technical changes than ever this year, so let's hear about them from Louise Goodman.
The new regulations are designed to make Formula One closer and safer. The most fundamental change is the width of the car, which has been reduced by 20 centimetres. The new narrow track cars will generate less downforce than last year. Slick tyres are out. A series of grooves, 4 on the rear and 3 on the front, mean there'll be much less grip around the corners. So far, there's been mixed reaction from the drivers.
F1 is the pinnacle of racing, or should be, and that's leveling everything downwards, backwards, where mediocre drivers can drive quick, because the limit of the car is easy to reach.
It's very challenging, really hard to drive. It's very demanding.
In general, I don't think the situation will change. The good drivers will stay the good drivers, the good teams will stay the good teams.
Brakes have been given the treatment too. The maximum width of the discs has been reduced in an attempt to increase braking distances.
It's still very fast. In fact, we're quicker in a straight line because the cars are narrower, so there's less resistance. So you're actually arriving at the corner faster. You have less grip when you get into the corner, so they're a little bit more nervous, a bit more twitchy.
The cars will now have to pass 5 different crash tests before they can be raced. The monocoque or survival cell is thicker and there's more padding to give the driver extra protection in an accident.
The skill of driving is still is still there. You know, the need to be a good driver is still there, and as long as that remains, then it's still going to be Formula 1.
So they're the changes then. 10% narrower at the rear and 25% less rubber on the track with those grooved tyres. What does it mean for the drivers? They're saying second, third and fourth gear corners, the cars are power sliding a lot, very controllable. Fifth and sixth gear corners, they're not so happy. The car gets away from them very quickly. More difficult to drive. The most critical thing will be when they have to do long runs on full tanks of fuel, those tyres are going to degrade very, very quickly. Well, as ever, Murray, tyres will be most critical.
Yes, most people don't realise that tyres can affect the performance of a Formula One car more than almost anything else. And this year, there's going to be an even bigger tyre war. Goodyear say it's going to be their last year in Formula One. And Bridgestone have been joined by two of the top teams, McLaren and Benetton.
Well, that's the tyre news. James Allen has been seeing how the teams are shaping up.
World champions for a record 9th time last season, Williams may have changed colour scheme, but they're still the team to beat. Despite losing their top designer to McLaren, Williams has engineering strength in depth. And although it was completed late, the new FW20 car, powered by the Mclaren engine, has been both fast and reliable in testing. Jacques Villeneuve has the added confidence that the World Championship brings and is keen to repeat.
There's more victories to win, there's more poles to get, and there's more championships to fight for. And I'm still hungry, I'm still very hungry. I need competition in my life. I need to fight for something. And right now, car racing is the best way to achieve it.
If he's to win a second title, Jacques and his team will be looking for more consistency than in '97.
I did make some mistakes, like Montreal was a huge beginner mistake.
He's absolutely distraught, understandably so.
And I'll never forgive myself for that one. And then there's been a few team mistakes, like we all did together, like the tire choice in Monaco, starting on slicks when it's pouring down with rain. You know, how stupid can you get?
The pressure's on Villeneuve's teammate Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who took his time to settle in last season. This year, Williams have told the German he must produce the goods if he's to keep the best seat in Formula One.
Ferrari top management has piled on the pressure this year. Anything less than the championship will be considered a failure. The F300 was finished early but has had some niggling problems in testing. Still, Ross Brawn's engineers have come up with a quick car, but like Williams, the main question mark is whether the Goodyear tyres are up to it. Whatever his driving, Michael Schumacher is still the best in the world, but he must lay the demons of Jerez to rest. Eddie Irvine showed a deft touch in winter sports, but he has a mountain to climb if he's to beat Schumacher on track. Now in his third year with Ferrari, Eddie must prove this year that he can win races.
After like 2 or 3 races, we'll know how we stand because we've tested away from everyone else. But we've done our homework right, and I think we've done a very good job in the car. So I'm very confident.
McLaren are looking very strong this year. Their car has been one of the main talking points pre-season. It's the first from designer Adrian Newey, who penned 5 championship-winning cars for Williams. And it looks like he's come up with another winner. McLaren's decision to switch to Bridgestone tyres appears to be paying off, with both Coulthard and Hakkinen setting winter testing records in Barcelona. Coulthard, top Brit in '97, thinks this year could be even better.
Now, having driven the car, I'm pretty confident that we'll be in better shape than we were relative to the opposition last year. We're not here against Williams and Ferrari, so we don't know how their car is coming along. But I can't imagine that it will be, far away from where we are. Williams will still start the season as favourites because of where they obviously finished up last year, and they can carry that through. But nonetheless, if we have a reliable car, I'm sure we won't be far away in Melbourne. I had 2 proper wins last year and a couple that slipped away. I would be very disappointed and surprised if we didn't have at least as many wins and more, and I want to be challenging for the championship.
Flying Finn, Mika Hakkinen, starting his 6th year with the team, finally won his first Grand Prix in Jerez at the end of last season. With that psychological barrier removed, albeit with help from Williams, Mika's expectations are high.
A really fantastic thing it was. It makes me feel much more confident, and I've been trying that so many years. And that was my dream. So now I can make my dream next dream, and that's the World Championship.
It's crunch time for Jordan. This year, Eddie needs to crack that elusive first win if he's going to mix it with the big boys. With the new Honda engine deal, the ingredients are all there, on paper at least. Inevitably, though, all the talk has centred on the driver pairing of Hill and Schumacher.
I don't think it'll end in tears. That's my honest view. I think Ralph has matured remarkably in the year that he's had in Formula One. He's still very young, he's 22. Himself and Damon get on extremely well. That's always a good ingredient. I think if people can get on well together and it seems like a meaningful relationship.
Jordan clearly see Damon providing a realistic chance to grab that first ever Grand Prix victory after 114 attempts. Does this make life harder for the former world champion?
Well, I want to win, so there's no real added pressure there. I put pressure on myself to win, and that's always been the case. It's not a pressure. If someone says, you know, we're expecting you to win, well, I mean, you wouldn't be there if you didn't expect to win, so it's not really a pressure. But everyone does expect, or the whole atmosphere there at the team is that they want to make they want to make another step. I mean, I've won races, I've won 21 races, and I want to win more races. But the Jordan team as yet have not won a race, and so hopefully I can be there when that happens.
And how are you getting on with the team themselves? Is it all gelling nicely?
I've been very impressed because the team from the outside is obviously a gregarious. It follows the lead from Eddie himself, and it has a sort of fun-loving appearance on the outside. But within, I can tell you that the engineers are very serious about their job, and they're very well disciplined. And I was impressed with my first experiences.
What's Eddie like as a boss?
He's great. I mean, you know, I've known Eddie for a long time, so I'm pretty relaxed with him, and it's good to have someone like Eddie who really is out there. It's his personality. The whole team is infused with Eddie's personality, really.
How are you getting on with your new teammate?
Absolutely no problem so far. I've only had a few chances to work with him, but you know, there's not anything going on there at all at the moment to complain about, and he's keen to learn, and he's also keen to get out there and do well like I am.
But he is a chip off the same block.
Well, I don't know what you're implying by that. I mean, well, rather I do know what you're implying by that. He's Michael's brother, so he's bound to be you know, very similar in character, but then sometimes brothers can be completely chalk and cheese. So we'll have to see how that pans out. And you know, he is after all in the same team with me, and we're teammates, and we both want the same thing from Jordan. So I'm looking forward to helping him if I can, and if he wants any help to develop as a driver and become more competitive.
Let's hope Schumacher doesn't take Damon off in 1998, because it's a very important season for Hill.
Absolutely. It won't be the first time that Damon has been Schumachered. He's no longer the reigning world champion, so he's got an uphill struggle to re-establish himself this year. Many people expecting him to win a race in that, Jordan. Early signs are that the car's not super fast, but they've got time yet.
Absolutely. This is the Barcelona Circuit Memorial to the immortal Juan Manuel Fangio, who won his first World Championship here in 1951. The top driver of today is Michael Schumacher, and we've got an exclusive interview with him and a lot more after the break.
Welcome back to our preview of the forthcoming Formula One Grand Prix season, now just a week away. James Allen continues our look at how the teams are shaping up.
Benetton was the first to produce a 98 car, after dramatically switching tyre companies from Goodyear to Bridgestone. They've been quick in testing, but the pressure's on the two young drivers. Giancarlo Fisichella has received all the plaudits, but Alexander Wurz should not be discounted.
I have to learn a lot of things because I'm still young and it's my first season. So But anyway, I'm not contracted to such a good and top team to make Sunday holiday drives, so I have to go for it, and that's my plans.
Alain Prost has a pretty car and a fine pair of drivers, but an engine switch from Mugen Honda to Peugeot and a factory move may be disruptive. Jarno Trulli's lap times in testing have been good though, and Olivier Panis is a master at protecting tyres in a race. Could be a dark horse later in the season.
The second year is traditionally tough for any new team, so Jackie Stewart has realistic plans for his team in '98.
Basically what we achieved in '97, we actually were ahead of our expectations on the business plan. So for '98, we've got to, in my opinion, pick up double digits of World Championship points. In other words, go past 10 World Championship points constructors.
Last year they suffered more than their fair share of mechanical failures. Now there's a new engine from Ford and the car features an ambitious carbon fibre gearbox, so reliability looks like being a key factor again this season. The driver lineup remains unchanged, with Jan Magnussen keeping his seat for a second season alongside Brazilian Rubens Barrichello.
Sauber boasts its strongest lineup to date, with Grand Prix winners Johnny Herbert and Jean Alesi lining up in the Swiss cars powered by customer Ferrari engines. Johnny heads into his 9th season of F1 and his 3rd with Sauber with plenty of confidence. While Alesi may only have 1 win, his record of 30 podiums shows his value as a point scorer, and he's settling in well.
I lost my teammates. My favorite teammate, Gerhard. We've been 5 years together, but with Johnny, we have already a good relationship, so that is a big help.
Arrows were very late with the new car, so was it worth the wait? John Barnard's latest looks stunning, but Mika Salo and Pedro Diniz have done very little testing with it. Raising the stakes even further, Arrows have now dumped Yamaha and are building their own engine.
This is the Tyrrell team's last season, having been sold to British American Racing. New Japanese driver Tora Takagi has impressed everyone with his speed in testing, but the atmosphere at Tyrrell took a nosedive when the new owners chose pay driver Ricardo Rosset in preference to Jos Verstappen. After 30 years at the helm, Ken Tyrrell resigned in protest.
As always, Minardi has plenty of promise, but hardly any money. 19-year-old Argentine Esteban Tuero has a lot to learn, while Shinji Nakano still has a lot to prove. So, not surprisingly, Tuero and Nakano are long shots with the bookies. Any of these prices take your fancy?
Well, there's no great surprise about the shortest odds. I mean, Coulthard, Häkkinen, Villeneuve, Schumacher. So where would you put your money?
Well, I think the bookies are pretty spot on, but I have to say that Wirtz and Panis look pretty cheap. Worth a few of your hard-earned shillings, Murray?
But Damon Hill, 20 to 1, that's not good.
Well, it's not, is it? I think both he and Jordan would be very surprised at that. And it's also difficult to rate the Ferrari team. They've tended to stay away from these main tests, so you can't really compare them.
Which is exactly why we sent our man James Allen to Mugello to find out.
Now, last year you won 5 races in a car which was widely accepted as not being the best on the grid. It must have given you a special satisfaction.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, even being so close to the championship to the end was a special satisfaction. Obviously, it was not a satisfaction how it ended, but nevertheless, you have to see it together, and I believe we have good reasons to be proud of us.
Now, an awful lot's been said, an awful lot's been written about the Jerez incident, some of it rubbish, some of it quite extreme. What's your view? What's the truth about the incident?
Just had a word with Ricardo Patrese. He just visited me half an hour ago, and he couldn't understand why they went after me that strong. I mean, in the past, that was the way you did it. I mean, if you wouldn't have done it, you would have been criticized the other way around. It came out after the Jerez race that there was a support towards myself of 8% staying behind me and really supporting me. So, I mean, the media makes one thing, but the real fan and the real people outside having a different thought.
Psychologically and physically, Jacques Villeneuve feels that he raised himself to your level in 1997. Do you agree with that?
One thing for sure is untrue is the fitness point, because I can't see anyone who may start the training by the end of the season can be as fit as someone who does it for so many years.
I'm happy because he was also beaten physically that day, and that's important because he's renowned for his physical fitness. And I've been training very hard in '97, and at least that race showed me that it was worth it to train.
The way I drove the race and the way I have my fitness, I didn't have any problem at any time. Jack mentally is strong. I mean, he's determined, he's prepared. That's where he's strong, no doubt. But I don't think things should be overestimated, what happened in Jerez.
There's an awful lot of pressure riding on this season, Michael. I mean, in the press you see the line is, this car must win. Is that rather unhelpful, having that kind of thing hanging around you?
It is normal after what happened last year. Our target is to win the championship. And that's what we're saying. Our target it is. And we believe we have done the right job. But whether we do or not, who can tell? No one can tell. We will do our best, and we obviously hope it will be enough in the end. But it's not that we have to, and the world will not go under if we don't. If we don't, I mean, we try the next year. Ferrari didn't do it for 19 years, so nothing different will happen if we don't do it next year.
Now, in 1997, you and Jack shared most of the success, but do you think this year there's going to be a few more people trying to join the party, trying to win a few races?
To be honest, I see it changing quite a lot, because in my view the Mclaren team is going to be the main competitor due to having an aerodynamic guy from Williams, which used to do the good job for them, having probably good tyres, and altogether being strong last year already, and they will improve. So I think they're going to be the team to beat.
Well, that was pretty powerful stuff, and I reckon we're going to hear a lot more of it during 1998. But let's talk about the British drivers. I think they break down into two packets, as it were. The first is Johnny Herbert, Eddie Irvine. Sadly, I can't see Johnny doing terribly well, because I don't think the car's going to be up to it. And Eddie Irvine's bound to be number 2 to Schumacher because of Ferrari orders. What do you think?
Well, I think Johnny will do a good job, but I just fear that Sauber could be a little behind the game in working out these new regulations. Eddie's got an important year. He has to come out of the shadows a little bit, and this is third year at Ferrari. He needs to move on or do something special there.
And Damon, now this year he has got to get the job done. We know he can do it because he's been world champion, but there's a question mark over the Jordan.
Yes, early testing's not been too promising for the Jordan, but it's there's time yet. But Damon's very smooth with the car, and I think his driving style could suit these new regulations.
No doubt, as far as I'm concerned about David Coulthard, he's a potential world champion, and in the new McLaren, I've no doubt that he could do it.
Well, there's tremendous air of confidence around McLaren and David, and really, I think we're all expecting a lot of Hakkinen and Coulthard.
Well, David Coulthard won the Australian Grand Prix last year. He could do it again, and we'll know soon, in a week's time to be exact. And you can watch the whole of the Australian Grand Prix meeting on ITV, qualifying, the Murray and Martin show on Saturday afternoon, the race itself live, of course. We're looking forward to it. Join us soon.